Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name's Nancy Jo Hancock.
And do you go by Nancy Jo?
I do.
How old are you?
61.
And do you currently work?
I'm self-employed.
Do you live here in Arizona?
In Mesa, yes.
Were you born and raised here?
Born and raised here.
Do you have your own children?
5.
Do you have grandchildren?
15.
Busy person.
Yes.
I'm going to direct you to a person by the name of Charles Vallow. Did you ever meet a person by that name?
I did.
How did you
Feel free to chant Jerry, Jerry at the appropriate times.
meet him?
I'm divorced. I was on an LDS dating site, and when new members join, it tells you this is someone new. And he sent me a message, and we began messaging.
Initially, did you just talk to him do you talk through the website? How does that work?
Through the website at first, and then he asked for my phone number, and then we were texting and talking on the phone as well.
Do you recall approximately when you met him?
It was early July, I believe the 3rd.
And so you said you guys would text. Was this,
A lot.
what's a lot to you?
Charles was a texter and a talker, and he was good at banter, and there were hundreds of texts by the time I had met him.
So he has no
You
game.
said you talked on the phone with him as well?
For hours.
Noted.
Did you have a conversation with him once that lasted almost 3 hours?
Probably more than one, yes.
When you met Charles in early July, did you know he was still married?
He told me he was in the process of a divorce.
Okay. Did you know whether or not he was living with his wife at that time?
He was in Houston. His soon-to-be ex-wife was here. When he came to Arizona, he was meeting a realtor to find a place to live when he was here as well.
So when you're first meeting him, he's out of state, but he has a connection here to Arizona, so you keep talking to him?
Correct.
As you guys are talking and texting, did you eventually have enough interest that you decided you wanted to meet him?
Yeah.
Did you know what Charles did for a living?
Yeah, the demon thing was off-putting. I have to say, he didn't mention it in his profile.
Life insurance and something with money. I try not to have that be the focus when I'm getting to know somebody, so that I get to know them for them and not what they do for a living.
Okay, so you didn't really care too much about
Oh, please.
what his job was?
No.
Did you know he traveled a lot for work?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I know it's off point, but I'm just going to call some BS on the dating justifications that are going on here.
As you and Charles are talking and texting, just sort of yes or no, can you tell us, did he get very detailed about his life with you?
Yes.
Did you know
KDM, I go demon about an hour to 2 hours in.
if Charles had children?
Yes.
Just yes or no again, did you talk to him about his wife specifically?
A lot.
Did he mention his wife by name?
Yes.
What did you believe his wife's name was?
Lori Vallow?
Have you ever met Lori Vallow?
No.
Again, just sort of yes
I
or
like
no.
to think
Did
so.
Charles talk to you about
Your Honor.
why?
Objection, leading.
Objection.
Objection.
I haven't heard the question yet. Go ahead.
So just yes or no, did Charles talk to you about why he
Leading
was
is yes or no.
No, leading is a question that suggests the answer, so she can answer yes or no.
So again, just yes or no, did Charles talk to you about why he was separated from his wife?
Yes.
based upon your discussions, how long did you think there had been issues going on between Charles and his wife?
For several months, but more intensely since the beginning of that year was 2019, so since the beginning of that year.
You told us that Charles talked to you let me ask you, yes or no, did he talk to you in great detail about his relationship with Lori Vallow?
Yes,
You told us you met on an LDS dating site, right?
correct?
So are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I am.
Was there anything that you were hearing that you thought were outside of your beliefs?
A lot of things.
As Charles was telling you these things about his wife, can you tell us his demeanor? What his voice was like, what his attitude was like as he's talking about that?
I just remember thinking that he was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
You told us you were aware he had a child. Did you know where that child lived, who the child lived with?
Yes,
Who was that?
he was living with Lori at that time.
See, you get the real insight
You
here.
have
He had
this-
older children as well, but the
Mostly via Andrew.
young one was living with Lori.
You have these conversation with Charles about his wife and these things that to you seem outside the LDS religion. Why do you keep talking to him?
Well, he was very charming and kind and funny and very clever, really good banter.
He had a big house.
A lot of craziness going on around him, but he seemed pretty awesome.
Now, you guys had just known each other for a few days. Did you think you and Charles were exclusive?
Heavens no.
So would you be surprised to learn that he was talking to other people on other websites?
Not at all.
Did he in fact share some of that with you?
He did. He shared some pictures of some woman that had sent him that were quite scanty, and then proceeded to ask him for money, and thought how funny that was, that that's what people were doing online.
Did you eventually meet Charles?
Oh, yeah, that's
in person?
hilarious.
I did.
And how many times did you get to meet him in person?
Just once.
What day was that?
He was flying.
I mean, this is tragic that this guy gets killed, but and then his personal stuff gets spread out here, but he's so naive. He's so naive. He's like, oh my God, you can buy burritos online. I didn't know.
In from Houston, and we had arranged to go to dinner that night. His plane was delayed, and so I met him that night on the 10th of July.
July 10th, was that 2019?
Correct.
And was that then here in Arizona that you met?
It was.
You said that you had original plans to meet and they got pushed back?
Yeah, his plane was delayed, so we met a little later than we were supposed to.
Where did you guys meet? What did you do?
At the Keg restaurant by Santan Mall, and we ate, but we talked until the restaurant closed. We were the last people there.
So you shut the place down?
We did. I finally looked around and I realized that we were the only ones there, and told them we probably should leave. And then we went outside and talked by my truck for another 45 minutes or so.
Based upon everything you had heard, was Charles coming in to see you, or was there some other reason he was in Arizona?
Charles was ecstatic to see JJ. He was coming to see JJ, so excited to take him to school the next morning. He was also coming to look for a place to live. He had an appointment to meet a realtor friend after he had taken JJ to school. And then he was also supposed to meet with Lori's brother, Adam.
So you and Charles have this evening on the 10th. Were you going to meet again?
Yeah, we were supposed to meet up in the late afternoon after he got through with the things that I just said.
So did you have a set time for the next
No.
day? Can you describe Charles? Was he a fit man? What was his size?
Very fit and into physical fitness. And while we were talking, I know that he was swimming. I got to go to the gym. And yeah, very, very fit, strong.
When you were talking with Charles on July 10th, that evening, let me ask first, do you recall about what time you ended up meeting him?
It was around 7. I got there first, but it was right around 7, between 7 and 7:15, I'd say.
And do you recall about how long you guys were together until you finally
Well, the
left?
restaurant closed at 10, and they were closed and no one else was there, so it was after that we left. And then, like I said, we stood by my truck and talked for another half hour, 45 minutes after that.
So a later evening.
Yes.
Can you tell us, you said that you understood he was going to go see his son. What was his demeanor about with regards to JJ and seeing his son?
Like a kid on Christmas morning, he was very excited to see JJ.
You had talked about his demeanor when he would talk about his wife. On that evening or ever, did you ever hear him swear or use derogatory names or anything like that towards Lori Vallow?
I was surprised with the details that he was describing to me, how kindly he still spoke about Lori, and his hope was that she would be a great mom for JJ.
Did that stand out to you?
A lot.
Why?
Most men that you date are not nearly so kind about their ex and describe them in more derogatory ways and don't speak so kindly. And I remember just thinking how odd, in a good way, it was that he was not speaking in a derogatory way about Lori.
So that made an impression on you.
It did.
During any of your conversations with Charles, did
I say that shows lack of judgment.
you ever learn that he had a life insurance policy?
I did.
As you are talking, did Charles really just tell you a lot about his life?
A lot about his life, yes.
Yep. There's a reason.
Were you almost surprised at the amount of detail of his life that you learned?
Yeah.
Did you understand whether or not any changes had been made by Charles to the life insurance policy?
He told me that he had changed his beneficiary to his sister, Kay, and as he was proceeding to tell me some of the things that were going on, I suggested to him that maybe he should let Lori know that he had changed the beneficiary on his life insurance to Kay.
Why would you tell him that?
Because of the things that he was describing to me and his concerns for his safety and the thought that money would come into play.
Do you recall where you were when you made that suggestion to Charles?
We were sitting at dinner at the Keg.
So this is on July 10th.
Correct.
What was his demeanor like when you told him that?
He kind of chuckled and said that he probably should. Said that was a good idea.
You told us that you don't know Lori Vallow, correct?
I do not.
Would it be fair to say that you sort of have no beef in this case?
I have no beef in this case.
Do you know any of Charles's family back then?
No,
Any of Lori Vallow's family back then?
no.
When you I guess, left Charles after talking in the parking lot that evening, you told us that you had sort of unformalized plans to see Charles the next day.
Correct.
Was there like someone would call someone, or how was that supposed to go?
He just said that he needed to do the things that I said, to have a morning with JJ, find a place to live, meet up with Lori's brother Adam, and, then we would meet up somewhere for a late lunch or something.
Did you ever try to reach him on July 11th of 2018?
I did.
Did you try texting him ever?
Around 11-ish in the morning, I texted him and asked how his morning with JJ had been.
Did you get a response back?
I did not.
Did you try calling him?
A couple hours later, I called once, yes.
Did you get a call back?
I did not.
What were you thinking when you didn't hear from Charles after you spent this night?
I was puzzled how I had misread what I had thought been a good date so wrong, that he would not even take the courtesy to reply. Wondered why, but just figured that was what his decision was.
So on July 11th, when you're not hearing back from Charles, did you know that he had been shot and killed?
No.
Did you later learn that Charles had been killed from seeing something on TV?
I was watching TV in December, I believe, and his picture came on the screen, and it said that he was dead.
When you learned that in December, that he had been killed, did you learn when that had happened? Did you try to investigate?
I did. They said the date, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's right about when I went out with him. And so I went to my phone and thought I probably had deleted our text conversations. If I'm not dating someone and I text, I usually delete the thread, but I had not. And I had the conversations, and then I realized that I was with him until 10:45 that night, and that he died at 7:30-ish the next morning.
And did you later then talk with the police in April of 2020 to tell them what you knew about this case?
I did.
Thank you. The state has no other questions.
Cross?
Get your Jerry out now. It's time. I caught a little bit of this yesterday during the live. It was fun.
Nancy Joe, right?
Correct.
And we have not met before,
We have
correct?
not?
Okay. And you stated that your husband, or my husband, told you that he was going through a divorce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you have any way to verify that?
No, I didn't try to verify that.
Okay. So did it surprise you later to find out that we were not in the process of a divorce?
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out?
It's so amateur. He was not. You can't, you just can't do that to a witness. By the way, the witness is right. He was in the process of a divorce. You were in the process of a murder. He didn't know it. That's where we are.
You've seen it all on TV where we're not getting divorced.
Okay.
So on the website that you met him, did he say he was divorced?
I'm not certain.
Would you have gone on a date with him if he would have said he was married?
If I would have realized how married he still was, maybe not. But I just met for dinner. I wasn't sleeping with him or anything.
Do you go on dates with married men? Not naturally?
Argumentative. I'm going to also object under 611 for harassment.
All right. I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, do I not have a right to cross-examine this witness for what she has already testified to?
You can cross-examine her about what she's testified to.
So you did go on a date with a married man,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody cares.
So in your text messages, you asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm sure.
Object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance.
All the
Again,
cringe.
611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for
All the cringe.
and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
Right?
I knew what I've testified to.
What else did you talk about on your date?
Lots of things.
Like what, for instance?
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
Okay. Did he tell you about anything about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay. Did he talk to you about my daughter Tylee?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
I don't recall that.
Did he talk about the contention in his relationship with my daughter Tylee?
I don't recall that.
I'm sure you don't.
And I'm going to object to comments by the defendant made after questions testifying.
I'll sustain the objection.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman, is that correct?
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance, you stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
We didn't talk about you very much in that vein.
When did you talk to him about me very much then? If it wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone, and when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
So let me understand.
We discussed you as the anchor you are that he was trying to cut loose. Unfortunately for him, you got to him first.
You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites.
Sure.
Would you say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their conversations with a potential?
It's actually very common.
Really?
Really.
Interesting.
And again, Your Honor, I'm
All right.
going to object to the defendant making comments after her questions.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I won't do that again.
All right, please
Uh-huh.
stop.
I'll just ask the questions.
Thank you.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband after the dinner on July 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain, ma'am. After dinner.
10:45 to midnight, maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What did you discuss in those text messages?
And I'm going to object to relevance again. If there's a specific area.
Sustained.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that I've testified to.
Can you be more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Let's go on sidebar.
Well, thank you, Brecken. Had that for me from yesterday. That was the little cat fight. Let me see here. Let me see if I have something else while we're waiting, because we still have the courthouse steps over there.
We are prepared to go forward as well. Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 45 years old. He does have a history using drugs, no doubt about that. He has an employer here that he's worked for on and off for the last 20 years, construction, Your Honor. Not only does he make a living working with Dave, but he's also in the process of buying a home from him that he stays in, and he's been making payments. So we'd like to get back to that. He's aware he has some financial obligations for child support for his 11-year-old son, Isaac. So he wants to get back on track with that. And the thing is, what is he going to do to convince the court that if the court places him on community control, that he's not going to go back to using again? He indicated he's well aware of the fact that he is on, to say the least, a very thin rope, and that if he violates probation, tests dirty for drugs, that prison is his next stop, very likely. So we would ask the court to place him on community control, or whatever treatment and other sanctions are appropriate. Sort of give him
I have no idea what's appropriate, because he stopped coming around 5 and 6 years ago. So I don't know where he's been, what he's been doing. I get different stories based on who I talk to. So I don't have the slightest idea what's appropriate for him.
May I continue? Thank you, Your Honor. He can address those issues with the court himself. It might be effective coming from him regarding the time that he was away. He did recognize and does recognize that he does have an immense problem with drugs. He did mention treatment.
Well, but he said after he went to prison, he came out and he was clean all these years. And that's not true.
I think there's more to it than that. I think that the court is absolutely correct. That is not true. And I think he can elaborate on that further, Your Honor. Furthermore, he did mention treatments such as Concord Pines. And
Yeah, let's hear his cranky tales.
Within his power, the choice is up to him.
I bet that will help.
The court, probation, and the programs that are available can only do so much. He's the one who has to want to do it, and his record seems to indicate otherwise. However, each day is a new day and a new opportunity to turn things around, perhaps with his home in the balance and his child's welfare in the balance. He'll come to some sort of a
I
realization.
assume his child's welfare has been in the balance for 11 years.
It has, Your Honor.
And that hasn't really impacted him.
I think I will transition now and allow him to answer the court's questions with my request to the court of considering community control sanctions, Your Honor, and not putting him back in prison at this time, allowing him to address his drug habit. Thank you.
What's your story?
You want me to stand, John?
Oh, here we
Whatever you
go.
want, I don't care.
What's my story? Where do you want me to start?
Well, I'd like to know what the hell happened to you 6 years ago when you just disappeared from here.
When I came in on the original charge, I think it was the conveyance or whatever the charges were. I had just gotten out of prison. I was in a halfway house, Harbor Lights. I had dropped a dirty urine there, and they were going to violate me. And I think if I remember correctly, I was going for a pre-sentence investigation here. It was the next day, and I think I dropped dirty for that one. And I knew I was going to get locked up, so I just quit showing up. I was working the whole time. I mean, I worked with my dad. I worked with Dave. I was going out of town a lot for work down in Washington, D.C., where Dave has another office. Yes, I was using. No, I wasn't using heroin. I just went to I was using other
I don't
things.
have the slightest idea whether what you're telling me is true or false.
Okay, how can I?
You can't. Okay.
Okay.
You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but all I'm telling you is I don't have any faith in what you're telling me.
Okay. I don't know what you're asking or what.
I'm not asking you anything. You say whatever you want to say.
Okay.
I'm just not going to believe it.
You said you got clean. Tell them about that.
I mean, I've been clean while I've been locked up since October. I mean, I haven't
Tell them
touched
about the
anything,
part where you got
in
clean.
the last 8 months or 7 months or whatever. Before that, I know I was not clean, but I was not doing heroin and that.
What were you doing?
A little bit of methamphetamines and Suboxone.
You know, a little this, a little that.
That's it?
Yes.
Where'd you get the oxy?
Never had oxy.
What did you say? Methamphetamine and what?
Suboxone.
Suboxone. Where'd you get the Suboxone?
Just random people. Up until
Well, why'd you stop doing heroin if you in fact stopped doing heroin?
all the people that were dying.
Okay. So as long as you weren't dying, you were okay just keeping on getting high.
No, because it wasn't even heroin anymore. It wasn't enjoyable. It
Well,
wasn't.
why were you doing meth?
Because it kind of took the urge away, I guess. It substituted it, I guess.
Oh,
Well,
sweet
that's a new
Jesus.
one. Where'd you get the meth?
If you're asking for a name, I don't have an actual name.
Well, where'd you get it?
Down off of 152nd.
We're at an 152nd.
Whitcomb and St. Clair,
Why'd you go there?
because it was close to home.
How'd you know to go there? Just kind of
Just
hang out on the corner or what?
People talking,
What people?
people that I worked with, people that I hung around with, people that I knew.
Well, where were you working during all this time?
With Dave and for my father and a couple other guys. I guess, independent subcontractor, concrete masonry. But I'll go, if things are slow, I'll go work with whoever I need to make ends meet.
How do you work when you're high?
It wasn't even, like I said, it wasn't even, I didn't even get high anymore. It was just to keep from getting sick.
Sick from what?
The dope sick from the opiates.
So meth cures your dope sick from opiates.
It doesn't cure it. It
Keeps you from getting sick.
takes that craving away.
Well, then you must have been having a big craving since October.
No, I was on Suboxone in county jail and
O'Donnell's so fun.
Downtown?
Cuyahoga, yes.
They're giving you
Favorite we're talking
Suboxone in
about.
jail?
Yes, they do it here too.
That's pretty goddamn stupid.
They give it in Lake County jail too.
Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on? What are you gonna do with your life? You're 45? What are you doing?
Obviously,
Besides pissing it away, what are you doing?
nothing.
Why?
Because drugs are more important.
Why?
I don't know that answer.
You don't know that. Why don't you find out the goddamn answer? What am I supposed to do with you now, 6 years later?
I don't have the answer to that.
Well, give me an answer. It's your life. Give me an answer.
Give me a chance
Chance of what?
to make things right,
What does that mean?
to get clean, to take care of my son.
How are you gonna get clean if you're taking dope?
I've been clean. I
You've
don't
been
need to
clean. You're
get
taking
clean.
Suboxone. Why are you taking Suboxone?
To stay off dope.
To stay off. How long are you gonna be on Suboxone?
I don't know.
You
I'm not
don't
on
know.
it now.
It's your life and you don't know the answer. What doctor have you consulted about how long you're gonna be on the goddamn Suboxone?
I haven't.
You have. Why not?
Because that was never brought up.
It was never brought up. Why didn't you bring it up?
Because I was in jail and they brought it to me and they said, here, this will make you feel better. And that was that.
What was it? What did they tell you it was?
Subutex, Suboxone. I mean, Metro Health.
Are they giving out Suboxone in the jail?
If they're on medically assisted treatment when they come in,
The fuck does that mean?
they, Suboxone, they'll keep them on it if they do not, if they have the continuity of care.
God, what does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Why are they giving an addictive substance to somebody who's addicted to drugs?
Is that a question directed at me?
No. It's a question directed to everybody, but nobody has an answer.
Okay, Your Honor,
You got an answer?
I believe I do.
All right.
I was in a severe accident 12 years ago. I had 5 neck surgeries. I've got fusions in my back. I've got pins. I've got spinal cord fusion. I have permanent nerve damage from 3rd and 4th surgery. I've been on Suboxone 7K for the last 5 years. I was a problem. I did 12 years ago when I had my accident. They're giving me Oxycontin. They got up to I was taking 5 oxycodons a day. It's a lot.
Who's this dummy
A pain management doctor
who thinks O'Donnell wants an answer?
That was why I'm taking somebody taking shots once a month. I've been taking it for 5 years. That was how I was able to get off.
Read the room.
That's medically assisted. So I think for some people, I didn't go to the heroin aspect of it. I understand the opiates. That's all part of the problem from these pharmaceutical companies that created this problem. But I could not own have 2 offices and 2 businesses if it wasn't for so.
What's his story as it relates to you?
I've known Christopher for 21 years. He's come down to Washington, D.C. to work for me many a times. He has never, I should say never, maybe once in all those times was he impaired where he could not do his job. And most of the time, I didn't know that he was high. He was high. He was high. I don't know. But he's a phenomenal worker. He always shows up. He's the first person that
Doesn't show up here.
well, for work he did for me.
Obviously, in his life, this shit's not important. That stuff's important. Why is that?
Probably because I was high. I mean, I told you I dropped 30. I told you that's why I stopped showing up. I mean, nobody wants to go to jail.
Well, where are you now?
In jail.
Okay.
But I'm sober. I mean, I definitely don't want to go high. I mean, I've had enough time to, a little bit of sober time to think about it, I guess. Not I guess, I know.
Well, how long were you in prison back in 19 or
I did
20?
18 months all total.
Why didn't that cure you of that problem?
Because I got out in I think I only did 4 months there and I went to the halfway house. I just finished up the last year.
Which halfway house?
Harbor Light.
And you disappeared from there.
Right.
That was a-
Well, COVID hit and I
Well,
walked
that
out.
was a great plan.
No, it
The
wasn't.
Harbor Light Drug House. That was a great plan.
I mean, that's what the state has set up.
I know it has it set up because they don't really give a shit about what goes on anyway.
And I didn't know that going into it. I had never been to a treatment before. I'd never tried anything before. So I had no
See,
idea.
you've been monkeying around with this stuff for a quarter century, haven't you?
Quarter century? No.
How old were you when you started using drugs?
Maybe my mid-30s, I would say. I drank a lot before that, but using drugs, yeah.
Then why did you magically start using drugs?
I
in your
broke my
mid-30s?
jaw. They put me on liquid Percocet when I left the hospital. I drank it like it was cough syrup, and I got dope sick. And the next thing I know, I was buying Percocets, and then the next thing I know, I was doing heroin. That was back in 2014.
How can I put you on probation like you're requesting if you don't show up? And you're going to tell me that you will show up, right? How do I put you on probation if you don't show up for 6 years? And not of your own volition, right? You didn't show up because you turned yourself in. Showed up because you got caught,
Right.
Okay. So how do I put you on probation if you don't show up?
Ankle monitor. I don't.
People have cut off ankle monitors before.
That thought never crossed my mind, but okay, yeah, I see that. I'm not.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't even know how to
It's-
say this.
That's the first thought on anyone's mind with an ankle monitor is how do I cut this thing off?
I don't have the answer for you, Mr. O'Donnell. I'm just looking for a fair shot. I mean, probation. If
What's
I just 30 or
what's a fair shot?
I guess I don't know. Probation, a chance to fix all this. Excuse my language. Fucked up shit that I've done in the past.
How do you fix it?
By doing the right thing.
What's the right thing?
By getting caught up on my child support. By going to
How
work.
far are you behind on child support?
Quite a bit.
Why were you driving a car in Menor back in the fall?
My dad will back me up on this. It was his job. I poured a driveway with him. One of the guys it was my truck. I'm not going to deny that. One of the guys got in the truck, backed it up to load up the tools, left it running. The truck hopped out of gear. There was nobody driving the vehicle. The truck hopped out of gear. I tried running to stop it. The truck ran over my foot when I went to go get in it because the door was open and got caught on the mailbox and it hit another vehicle. Dad, is that the truth?
When's the last time you had a license?
A long time ago.
Why?
Because I kept getting driving under suspension after. I kept getting another suspension.
Why didn't you get your license?
Because I had a hold in California.
For what?
A probation violation
For what?
from an OVI.
What were you doing in California?
I moved out there right after high school for work.
How are you going to get a license? You're in the concrete.
I don't know.
You're in the concrete business. You need to have vehicles. How are you going to get a license?
I don't know. That was one of the questions I had for you. If there was any.
I don't have answers. Okay. I've been sitting here for 10 and a half years and I haven't had one goddamn answer to a problem. I don't have the slightest idea how you get a license.
I love
You know
it.
who's got to figure out how to get a license?
Me.
Why did parole send you back to prison in January?
Because I had to finish up what time I had left from walking out of the halfway house.
Why did it take them 4 years to catch up with you? Of course, it took us 5 years to catch up with you. You weren't reporting, right?
No. I mean, I was on the run from them too.
Okay. What's with this house you're talking about buying?
I've already been making payments on it for the last 10 years.
To who?
Dave.
And so what's left on the land contract?
95,000.
How far are you behind in child support?
I think when I went there, they took me there the day after they picked me up a month ago. I went over there. I think
Over
last
where?
to juvenile courts.
Over here?
Yes. I think the amount that they had me in front of them for a month ago was $1,500. So I'm not insanely. I had my son for the first 5-6 years. We were co-parenting, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't like I've been out of his life the whole time. Then she hooked up with some other guy and just disappeared and wouldn't let me see him, so I stopped paying.
So
I don't. She won't answer my calls, nothing. And being that I had warrants out, there wasn't much I could do about
where
it.
does he live?
East Lake somewhere. I,
When is the last time you saw him?
5 years ago,
Okay.
6 years ago.
Why? Why 5 or 6 years ago?
Because she moved out from where she was at with this new boyfriend of hers and would not block my calls and everything else. And it wasn't like I could go to the juvenile services or anything like that because I had a warrant out for me.
So it was more important for you to stay out there and then not see him? Is that what you're telling me?
It's what it sounds like, yes, but.
Well, that's
yeah.
what it is, isn't it? You had two choices. Go over there and start to get a visitation order or a custody order, or not go over there. The reason you didn't go over there is because you didn't want to get arrested on a warrant, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was more important to you than seeing your son. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, you don't really believe that, but that's what you're telling me, because I don't know what the other answer is.
There isn't another answer.
Right.
No, I don't want to believe it, but there isn't another answer.
So now I'm supposed to sit here and pretend that 6 years later, everything's okay. Right?
I wouldn't say okay. I mean, it's got to be dealt with one way or another. I mean,
Well, your way of dealing with it is for me to put you on probation so you can go on about your life, right? Right?
yes.
Okay. See, the biggest problem here is not that, at least in the period of 19 and 20, you were a hopeless drug addict. That's not the biggest problem, okay? Because hopeless drug addicts come in and out of the doors every day, all day. Your problem is you don't like to show up and therefore deal with the problem. That's your problem. You just kind of hope it goes away by taking a little meth to take the edge off. Driving here and there, even though you don't have a license because it's part of the job. Not seeing your son because it gets in the way of you being out and about instead of in a blue uniform. You just kind of like to skate on by and not do what you're supposed to do. Your history dictates that or shows that. You haven't had a license forever, and you don't really give a shit. You're driving anyway. You seem rather selfish to me. Why is that?
Because it looks like it's all about me.
Hasn't it been all about you? I mean, Mr. Osborne here has had that business for 21 years. I think that's what he said. Right?
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, he's got to get up and do stuff every day to make the business work. He's got to deal with knuckleheads like you that may or may not be there, may or may not be high. And he's done all that with this debilitating injury that he had. Because he had a desire to do it. Dad's been running that business for a long time, employing knuckleheads like you. And you don't really give a shit about that. You just float in and out, picking up work here, picking up work there, getting high, doing whatever you want to do, avoiding your responsibilities.
Yep. Nailed it.
You're like you're stuck on 16. When are you going to get unstuck off of 16?
I think I have.
Oh, it's a miracle.
It's not a miracle. I'm just fed up with dealing with this
Well, see,
stuff.
and once again, I would have thought that how many times have you been in prison? Once? Okay. I would have thought that would have cured you of being fed up with this shit, but it didn't. And I don't have the slightest idea why. And I don't think you do either. You got anything else to tell me?
No.
Mr. Poklar, do you want to say anything?
Well, that went well.
I do, but I don't think there's enough time.
I think the judge is convinced.
I just would love to see this kid get his head out of the ass
Me too.
and do what he's capable of.
What's he capable of doing?
He's very good at everything he does. He just doesn't realize how much time he's wasted. I would love to see him just, for lack of a better term, blossom and do what he's capable of.
Isn't that a hell of a thing to hear your father say when you're 45 years old?
Yeah.
And you've demonstrated the ability to do things, but you won't do it?
Yeah.
Now, imagine 27 years from now, and your son is 38, and you're 72 sitting back here. Are you going to be saying the same thing
No,
to your son?
no,
How do I know that?
because I'm not gonna let it happen to him.
Why not? It's worked for you.
It didn't work for me. It's just the way I guess it's the lifestyle I led, but I'm not gonna let him do it. I'm not gonna let him make the same mistakes I made,
Well, the first thing you have to do is reestablish contact with him.
which I can do now that I have everything cleared up.
Well, not everything, right? Isn't there a mentor problem still? Ms. Crook?
Yes, there is a warrant on a matter.
Mr. Geigrich?
Thank you, Your Honor. The State of Ohio entrusts this court to fashion a sentence that's appropriate. Thank you.
Have a seat. I'm going to place you on community control for 5 years. What treatment for drugs and alcohol do you think you need?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not a
okay.
professional.
I don't know. I don't have the answer either. We've clearly established that neither one of us have the answer. As you sit here now with your history, recent and expanded, what treatment do you think you need?
Constant urine screenings.
That's not treatment. That's babysitting.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what treatments. I have never been to treatment other than going to Stella Mars from Cuyahoga County and to Harbor Light from prison.
Those are just holding tanks. Right?
Trap houses, more or less. So to answer your question, I don't know what kind of treatment is out there because I've never pursued it. Are you asking me if I mean, obviously you're not from what I've gathered, you're not very fond of the Suboxone program. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, no, I'm not, but that's beside the point.
Okay. I guess
that's more like in a situation like you masking instead of treatment.
Could you elaborate on your question?
You picked that up, did you?
It's a simple question. You've been sitting in prison since January.
No, October.
Okay.
But okay.
All right, even better. Okay. So you've been sitting there for 6 months. So did you think at all about what the plan is coming out?
Stay away from the people that I was with. Stay away from the child. Pretty much everything I was doing before. People, places, all of it. Other than, I mean, obviously I can't switch careers at 46 years old. And it seems to be all there is in the trades. But I mean, obviously nothing I was doing was working right.
Okay.
Other than
so never really dawned on you to kind of figure out a way forward as far as treatment is concerned.
I don't know what you mean by I don't know what you mean by you mean like
Well, if you don't know, if you don't even know what that means after sitting to finish out your prison sentence for 6 months, then what's the point?
I'm sorry?
You don't know what treatment means.
I do, but there's different, I mean, are you asking? I don't know how to phrase it.
I guess what I'm asking you to do is to take responsibility for you, okay? Instead of, aren't you sick of people like me telling you what you have to do? Don't you get sick of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so why don't you figure out what you have to do and go about doing it, so you don't have to have people like me telling you what you have to do in order to stay out of prison for a long time. Why don't you take ownership in your life?
That is my plan, or that, I
See,
thought I
the
had
two
already said
guys
that
sitting
earlier.
back here took ownership in their lives, okay? By being productive, by starting something and being productive so that it continues. They took ownership in their lives. You, on the other hand, just show up when there's some work to do to fill the time. No?
No,
No.
no, I've
Well-
been a best friend to Dave. Him and I have been best friends for, my dad will tell you the same thing. I'm the first one there. I'm
That's
the
great.
last
Then
one
why
there.
have you let Dave down by being in prison the last 6 months? If he's your best friend, why did you let him down? Not to mention, we've already
Because
gone
I
over
was
your
selfish.
son,
Because I was
letting your
selfish.
son down for 6 years, okay? So here, they take responsibility for their lives, you don't. And not having the slightest clue what you should do going forward as far as treatment is very enlightening to me.
I thought I can't be around the people that I was around.
No shit.
I mean,
You can't hang around on 152nd on the corner waiting for meth. No shit. That's enlightening. Can't hang around at the BP station on 185th and Neff waiting for drugs. No shit. I think you came in here just trying to figure out a way to get through this and get
No,
the hell
that-
out of here with the least damage possible. That's what I think. On each of the cases, you're going to serve 45 days in the Lake County Jail with credit for 4 on the 797 and credit for 4 on the 798. And then at the earliest time available, you're going to get in the jail treatment program and complete the jail treatment program and follow all recommendations. Now, do you have any idea what the jail treatment program is?
yes,
Okay, what?
I've done it.
You've done it. You just
Yes.
told me you never had any treatment. When did you do the jail treatment?
It was in the pre-sentence investigation, I think back in 13 or 14.
Okay. Didn't work, did it?
No,
Why not?
because I didn't want it to.
Okay. So you're to have no drugs or alcohol and you'll be screened. You're going to do the decision points program. Complete that and follow recommendations. You're going to obtain and maintain full employment. That means full employment. That doesn't mean you work whenever you want to work. You're going to get a valid driver's license. Is crook any other terms?
Just if you wanted to do a mental health evaluation or order any AA meetings.
You understand the terms?
Yes.
Your Honor, how about get current on his child support.
I don't care what, he's got to figure out if he wants to be in his son's life or not. Any question about the terms?
The JTP and that, you said it didn't work. I'm still doing it, correct?
Oh, yeah, you're doing it.
Okay.
And you can do one of two things when you get in there. You can either stare at the wall and twiddle your thumbs like you did last time, or you can pay attention to try to figure out what you have to do once the program's over, so you're not back here in the blue uniform. It's up to you. I don't care what you do. If you don't comply with the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control, and if I find you violated on these 3 cases, you'll go to prison for 42 months. You understand that?
Yes.
42 months. Now, who's going to be his PO? Jamie, do you know?
Dick Tompkins will be.
Okay. So the first time you get out in 30 or 40 days, if I were you, you do whatever you want, okay? Because your history demonstrates you do whatever you want anyway. If I were you, I'd have like written down on a piece of paper for your probation officer what exactly you have to do in order to get a driver's license. And you asked me, you said you were going to ask me how you do that. Well, if I were you, I'd call the BMV in Columbus and talk to somebody and find out exactly what they tell you have to do. That's what I would do if I were you. But your history is you just kind of do whatever you want. So do whatever you want. Okay. But if you come back here, you're going. You understand that?
Yes.
And the costs and supervision fees are part of your probation. Anything else, Mr. Geigrich?
Well, forfeiture, contraband, and
Forfeited. Mr. Mulkey,
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
why don't you try something different? For the next 45 years. You profess that you're a friend to this gentleman. Why don't you try acting like that? Why don't you try acting like a good son to your father? Why don't you try acting like a good father to your son instead of screwing around like this, which you've been doing since you were 20 years old?
Mr. Trugan?
Hi, good morning. This is Marshall.
Sir, I have your case here. Who do you allege, sir, is living at the property?
I'm sorry?
Who is living at this property?
Somebody, my mom moved in before she passed away, and I just got the deed about 3 months ago, something like that. I just got the deed.
All right, is there someone residing in the house, though?
The gentleman that's staying there, I'm going to say lightly, I got a call from probate about, I'm not sure, earlier this year, and they said somebody's trying to steal your house. So I
Do you
called.
have that person's name, though?
His name is they gave me a number to a title search. Title search gave me a number to a realtor. The realtor, I was pretty upset trying to find out why they're trying to take my house, and they said that was the guy's name is Jimmy Massey, and I was like, no, the guy's too nice. He wouldn't do that. He's and then I found out that the guy they had the agent call me who was dealing with him, and they said, oh yeah, absolutely. He made up something false and gave it to them, And then he's been sending me emails from a Gmail trying to convince me that I got an SER coming to pay for him. Either which way, I knew I didn't have the deed in my name, so I couldn't do anything until now. So I really just want him to leave the property. And definitely, I can't there's no room to work with him actually trying to steal my property.
Okay. All right, just sit tight with me for a moment, okay? I'm gonna have to deal with something on your issue, so give me a moment.
I'm right here. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Baypacker, I'm asking you to unmute. Can you unmute Whoop Tab?
My name's Marshall. That's not me, is it?
No, Marshall, I'm not talking to you. Just sit tight with me. I'm asking for a Whoop Tab. Whoop Tab 8. All right, Whoop Tab bus to 8 US 2. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, what's your name?
Jimmy,
What is it?
Jimmy Massey?
Mr. Massey, do you have a case number?
Yeah, my eyes are not good. 25011187 LT.
Okay, got it. And your first name is Jimmy, Jimmy?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's your last name? Spell it for me.
Massey.
All right, sir. Let me change your name real quick. We've got the other party present here on your case, Marshall Trukin. It's Jimmy Massey, Massey. All right, Mr. Massey, did you receive service to appear in court today with respect to this property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Trukin, now I'm talking to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Thank you.
All right, so Jimmy Massey's present. Sir, are you currently residing at that location? On 9070 West Point Street in the city of Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And before you came in, Mr. Trukin advised the court that this was previously his mother's house. She's deceased, and he has a deed to the property and is the proper owner of the property.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, and he's asking for you to vacate that property, Mr. Massey.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Massey, what's the status now? What can you tell me? What's going on with you at this property?
I'm just waiting on the people that pay for back rent. I'm just
But you don't have a rental agreement with Mr. Trukin at all, do you?
No, there was never one ever made, ma'am.
Did you know Mr. Trukin?
Do I know him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Trukin, do you know Mr. Massey?
Only from going to the house and trying to collect rent. And as I don't know if I told you, but he's sending me fake emails from for Jackie Smith from Gmail saying this lady is somebody fake saying this because believe it or not, my son's mother is like a Mother Teresa, and she actually helps people get Section 8. And I sent her the email to her, and she said there's no such thing, it's fake. He's talking about giving me an SER, And I said I try to have communication with that Gmail, and there's nobody even communicating me back. And then yesterday, I just sent the fake email back. Say, yeah, Mr. Massey's a wonderful person, and I said, I'm just joking. I said, I'm not going to do anything. Then he texted me an email back saying, oh, I talked to the people yesterday, and they said you're a beautiful person for not going to rent. When I get my Social Security, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. It's all an email. I can show it to you. And I just want
Okay,
him out of the
I don't need all this. This is what I'm trying to figure out. Mr. Massey, are you squatting at this house? I'm trying to figure out, how are you living there? When did you start living there, and why?
Back in, I think it was 2000 or 2000, the pandemic, the 2020.
Okay. How did you begin living there? Was someone else living there when you started living there?
No, Your Honor.
Or was the house vacant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so you started living at a vacant house.
The Mr. Marshall's mother put an ad in the paper, and that's how I found it.
What was the ad for?
What was it for, ma'am?
What was the ad for?
It was a 2-bedroom house for rent for $850 a month, I think.
All right, and were you paying rent
I did at the very beginning, yes, Your Honor.
in 2020? When's the last time you paid rent?
Whenever the last SER payment was made,
When was that?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you, ma'am.
I mean, was it in 2020? Have you been living there for 4 years without paying rent?
No, Your Honor.
How long have you been living? I mean, you said you can't tell me. You've been in the house since 2020.
It's been about 1.5 years, 2 years since the last payment was made. The SER payment.
So you've been living in a house with no lease for 2 years without paying any rent.
3 years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Trugan says it's 3 years, 2 to 3 years with no rent. Is that correct?
If that's, yeah, around about.
Okay.
With that being said, can we just reduce it down to 5 days to get out today?
No, I mean, I know the law, I have to follow the law, sir.
I understand. I'm just being funny.
Okay, well, let's get through this. So Mr. Massey, can both of you, Mr. Trugan, can you turn your camera on?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
All right. Hello, Mr. Massey, Mr. Trugan, can you both raise your right hands?
Yes, ma'am.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I have in the file a notice to quit, recover possession of the property, that was served on, February 7th of 2025. So we have the 30-day notice, that was submitted to the court. Okay. Mr. Trugan, do you own the property at the address of 9070 West Point Street in the city of Taylor?
It's 8070. Yes.
Okay, we have it. 1 second.
That's okay.
8070. I'm sorry. I don't have my readers today. I'm doing my best, but thank you for correcting.
Unfortunately, I'm 58 and I understand that too.
Okay, did you rent that property to Mr. Massey?
No, I did not.
All right, and is it not your wish to have him to continue to live there?
Yeah, absolutely not. I have no desire to deal with him in any way whatsoever as soon as possible to cut my ties. I have to pay taxes. The house needs a lot of work. I can see it just from the outside. I've asked to get in the inside numerous times through the year. I've told him no matter what, he's still responsible for rent. I said, I'm not suing him for money. I'm not doing that. Obviously, I just want him out. Like I said, there's nothing solid to stand on. And I'm really kind of, to say it mildly, I'm disgusted in the fake papers he wrote to the. I was very upset having the probate court call
But
me.
Mr. Trukin, I understand all of that, and I understand your frustration. Okay,
Yep.
You're frustrated, but I just need to ask you these questions to do
Yes,
this
ma'am.
proceeding.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you no longer want to rent to Mr. Massey?
No, ma'am, not at all.
And did you file the 30-day notice to quit that's here in the court file dated
I did.
February 7th of 25?
I did file that, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Massey, you rented from the prior owner of this property, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you do not own this property at 8070 West Point, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, look, there's nothing under the law that can allow you to stay in that property, Mr. Massey. You were given the proper notice and the true owner no longer wishes to do business with you. So you are now trespasser at that property and you have 10 days to vacate the property under Michigan law.
Okay.
That's my ruling, that's the law. And I follow it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we're all set. Mr. Trukin, you'll have to submit paperwork to the court, okay? You can come out of the clerk's window. You can come into the clerk's.
Is the next step to the bailiff? I could go pay for that today to have him, to make sure he's takes care of it correctly?
Come into the court, come into the clerk's window, go to the civil window, and the civil clerk will give you the paperwork, okay?
Awesome. Thank you. I wish you a great day, and thank you for everything you do, Your Honor.
All right, and good luck to both of you. We're all set.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, that was something. Thank you, Alyssa. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this stream down because it's now an hour and 21 minutes. I'll start a separate thread, a separate stream for the trial because I don't want an hour and 20 minutes sitting on the front end of this. I mean, the scheduling is insane. I went by the schedule of the stream. I don't know that they started, but whatever. We'll catch it up. That's it. I'll call this something else, and we'll go from there. And then I'll hear a bunch of people yapping about how it's all clickbait. No. I went on to stream the trial, and the trial wasn't on. That's what happened. All right. Thank y'all. I'll see anyone who's interested in the trial in a little bit here.